typically what you're finding now is that the first stage of the interview is going to be a technical challenge anyway. So so long as you have the appetite, so long as you can demonstrate that you have the technical knowledge, if you have the relevant skills and the relevant experience in the domain that you're kind of like applying for, you would have a strong chance of getting to that stage of being able to go to that coding challenge to demonstrate if you have the skills that that company is looking for. In the interview, it's really important that your communication is on par. So the last thing you wouldn't want to do is just, be coding with the interviewer and you're not talking in that 45 minutes. Like, they want to hear your thought process. So get into the habit of talking about, so I'm going to do this because, this is like my way of thinking. There are several other options too, but this is the most efficient. Also, when it comes to that troubleshooting piece, sometimes the engineering recruiter, say interviewer, may be guiding you in a particular way. Again, they're not trying to catch you out, they're actually trying to give you advice. So, it's almost showing that you're coachable if you're able to follow their troubleshooting and, their direction as well. So just bear that in mind, once you've mastered, the coding, data structures and algorithms in that interviewing skill, you also need to be able to communicate and listen during that interview, because it's meant to be a healthy conversation. If we're looking at applicants who are new to coding, they've gone through a boot camp, I guess the chances of your application being successful with some of the big top tech companies at this moment may be a little bit limited, because you're going to be up against I guess people who have, been training, studying ETC for around 2 to 5 years. And within that, typically, so if I'm looking at junior talent, some of the ones who really stand out from the crowd are the ones who consistently get involved in hackathons, consistently give back to the open source community. So, they're very active on GitHub. You can find profiles on Stack Overflow. They're very active on social media. And it just strengthens their profile because you really are standing amongst the masses. Now, typically what I would try to advise from the application to make it a little bit more stronger, it may be worth potentially looking at joining a startup or a smaller company where you're able to dabble in a lot more different things, to put more things onto your CV so that when you are applying to those big tech companies, there's a little bit more substance to it. Some of the things that people don't do well on their CV is actually break down what they've done in their previous roles. So rather than just listing, these were my responsibilities, what you should be listing instead is, as a result of me being here, this is the value that I added. Because as a recruiter, as a hiring manager, we want to see where the value add is. We are hiring you for a reason. What is your purpose? What are you going to bring to the table that the person, the CV next to you, cannot do? So yeah, that's kind of the angle I would go for. If you don't have as much experience now, look at a strategy where can you best get the experience that you need, and then really start looking at your CV so that you can start adding, this is the value that I've added, these are the results that I've achieved, and that should really strengthen your application in the long term. But essentially, what I'm trying to get with this is, do not apply for any and every role, because it may not work in your favor, as it will demonstrate that you potentially do not know what you want. If you have been rejected, I would advise to wait between 6 to 12 months. There is a reason why your profile at the moment didn't meet the bar of what the team were looking for at the moment. And it isn't going to change within a week, 2 weeks, a month or so. So, go back, get the experience, relook at your CV, your application, and just see if you need to tweak certain things. Even though certain job ads are quite vague, there will be some which are quite specific in what they're looking for. So whether that's you need experience working, building mobile apps, if that's a requirement that they're looking for, and if you have that experience, you should be screaming and shouting about that throughout your application. And if you're not, then you are doing yourself a disservice. So please do take the time out to look at the job application. Make sure that your CV is basically a mirror of that job application. And if you do get rejected, wait around half a year. If you were a near miss and within a kind of a 1 year period, recruiters or sources will keep your record if you haven't opted out for deletion of your profile, and they will reach out if you were a near miss. Spelling is a huge one. It's an instant turn off. This is your chance to really showcase and demonstrate why you are the one. And if you haven't taken the time to pre-read your CV, then it kind of just demonstrates that in a workplace, you may not be as detailed to that attention as you state in your CV. Being concise is really important. And I always try to advocate, add a layer of mystery. You don't need to put your whole life story onto your CV. Add a little something where the interviewer can be oh, so you've mentioned this in your CV. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Don't give 2 paragraphs about this one thing that you did, a couple years back. When we really want to find somebody, we're going to find you. So yeah, really start looking at your digital footprint and thinking about what is the best way and how you can do things. Just to take it up one level from what Cobih was saying, not everybody is comfortable using LinkedIn in that platform. You can use Medium, document your journey. Every day, once a week, just start sharing, this is how I've gone from 0 to 100 as a junior developer. I source a lot of Medium. I'm looking for people who want to add value, who know how to cultivate a community, because in essence, what that says is that you're able to bring something more than just your core role to this company, to this job. So definitely start looking at the alternative ways and how you can start adding value. The big tech, they really do try to shift away from that cultural fit. And a big thing right now that they advocate for is that value add. So they're trying to really stay away from hiring the same types of people, and there's a lot of efforts within that, albeit it may not be as successful as they may want it to be, but Lord knows they are trying. So with that value add, it's a case of, okay, cool, so this is typically how our team thinks. What can you do to break that mold? Can you bring something different? Do you have that thing that's gonna help us get to the solution that we've been struggling to get to in a faster, more efficient, in a more lean way?